Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to another video. This is a reaction to British Roads Ain't Got Nothing on America, and I've done a reaction to like something to do with this a similar type video about a month ago. It was to do with like highways, but yeah, I mean we know the sizes are gonna be a completely different level because the US is so much bigger. So much bigger. The roads will be the biggest road in the UK will probably not even break the top 200 in the US, but we're gonna see. And yeah, hopefully you're going to enjoy. If you want to see some more reactions like this, let me know in the comments. Links are in the description to my Patreon if you want to see some more of my videos that I can't post to YouTube for whatever reason. But let's jump into this and see why British roads ain't got nothing on America.
For those of you not in the know, Katy Freeway is not the name of a popular girl in high school. It's the name of a freeway in Katy, Texas. Hello, I'm Lawrence, and I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond, and one of those memos pertains to roads, and specifically how British roads ain't got nothing on America. And when I say that, I'm not necessarily talking about the quality of the roads. I mean, I used to live in Indiana. No, in fact, and you can probably see it in my eyes, no surprise, that I'm talking about size. And whoopee-doo, says Uncle Toby, America has bigger roads, so what? It's a bigger country, of course it has bigger roads. But its major roads are big and astonishing in ways that are big and astonishing. I think it was another of my uncles, Dr. Emmett Brown, who said, "Roads, where we're going, we don't need roads." He was from the north of England. But 30 years earlier, when Doc was busy inventing time travel, there was another man who saw things differently. In 1956, several months after Emmett Brown first visualized the flux capacitor, Dwight Eisenhower signed the Federal Aid Highway Act into law. And this authorized the construction of an interstate highway system that would total more than 40,000 miles of road. This absolutely revolutionized US travel to the extent that in America, there are 0.84 vehicles for every human and child. In the
Okay, I was going to ask how much in the UK. That's half. It's a little bit more than half. That is insane.
UK, this number is considerably lower. Of course, there we can.
But cars are everywhere here. Like you're gonna hear that and think, oh, it's not busy here. Oh, it gets busy. Like now, I live in like a relatively main road. I don't live on a main road, but a busy road that sort of links into the center of the city where I live. It's a busy road, man. I mean, it's not cars non-stop, but you like there's traffic lights and stuff. Like you have to like. Do you have traffic lights in the US, by the way? That's another question. I'm just gonna see this just because you have like zebra crossing. Is this like a different thing? I'm sure it isn't. You have traffic lights, but like obviously you have traffic lights. I mean, for people to cross. In like, do you have to press the button to wait and then? I guess so, right? That's how. Obviously. What question is that? But yeah, it's a busy road. Like this is where the bus link. There's like bus links and cars, and yeah, it's like a big road to get in and out the city, and also it's just quite a nice sort of road as well. There's a lot of like it's sort of a student-y area, and there's a lot of like I don't know shops here and cafes and things like this. But yeah, I mean the fact that there's like 50% less in the UK, but it's still so busy. I cannot imagine how much more busy it would be in the US. I don't know.
Can partially rely on a comprehensive nationwide transit system. In the US, for reasons that I delved into in a previous video and which I will link to at the end of this one, the nation's transit system is not as far-reaching, and this was a big shock to me when I first moved to the United States. And so when I realized early on that you couldn't get everywhere by train or boat or flying DeLorean, I immediately realized that Uncle Doc was full of Not only did America have a lot of interstates and existing routes, but they were bloody big buggers. Let's take a look at how some of the longest roads in America compare to those in Britain. Just this morning, I had the urge to hitchhike in the manner of an 80s movie protagonist from Chicago to Seattle. And then I remembered that this was a terrible idea and that my remains would be found in a barn in Montana. But yay to America's interstates, because you can do that, the driving, not the hitchhiking.
Well, there's the roads.
Specifically in this case, we're talking I-90. And if you know anything about your American interstates, Interstate 90 doesn't just run from Chicago to Seattle. Your journey, not to be confused with the band of the same name, to Seattle via Chicago, not to be confused with the band of the same name, starts in Boston, not to be confused with the band of the same name. And that takes in a staggering 3,000 miles of road. And it's not even the longest road in America. That accolade goes to US Route 20. Running from Boston to Newport, Route 20 is 3,365 miles.
What?
Britain's longest road is the A1, not to be confused with the British-Norwegian boy band of the same name, or the steak sauce. The point is, at 410 miles in length from London to Edinburgh, the A1 is considered by most Brits, myself included, to be a considerably long distance.
Yeah. And that's what? 3,000. That's not even one. That's more. It's more than 1/7 of the. Like the US one is more than one. I don't know. It's just a lot bigger. My head's just fried. Like, where would this even rank in the US? So Edinburgh to London, would this be like going from Miami to Jacksonville or something like that, or would that be a bit less? I mean, I could search the distances up, but that's sort of how I sort of judge it, because Miami's at the bottom, Jacksonville's near the top of Florida, I think.
But again, Britain is much smaller than America. This makes sense. The thing that really stands out to me here is that our longest road doesn't go coast to coast. But even if it did, if it went from John O'Groats to Land's End, that would still only be about a quarter of the distance of US Route 20. And I think before I moved to the US, I wasn't quite aware that you could make a straight shot from the East Coast to the West Coast along a multiplicity of roads. And I confess I only included this sentence so I could use the word multiplicity and this clarification so that I could say it again. On top of all of this, I learned today, the United States co-hosts the Pan America Highway. And the Pan America Highway spans both continents of the Americas to form an unfathomably large highway network that traverses Alaska to Argentina. At 19,000 miles, it's a 13th of the distance from the Earth to the Moon and is the longest of its kind in the world.
Is it?
But
I thought there'd be like longer roads from like Europe to like Asia, but I guess not.
as I tell myself often, not everything comes down to length. Sometimes we have to consider this. What
Fair
do you
enough.
think of when you think of British roads? Do you think of those adorable and
Mate, whenever we used to go to my grandparents, we'd always go through these roads, and I would shit myself. Maybe not all the time because I got used to it, but you'll literally be going like, it'll be like this, hedges each side, but then also you got to consider there'll be like curves, so you wouldn't be going straight, so you can sort of see. You'll be like going round like that, like a snake. And it kind of is like this, but just worse, pretty much. But you can't see around your corners, and there's people that are coming both ways fast. Sometimes there's cyclists. Like, it's just a whole mess, man.
quaint country
And then you got to factor that with doing it at night time, and it's just like, yeah, no, thank you.
roads that can barely fit a tricycle? If so, you've never been on the M25. At this point, the M25 motorway is more or less the de facto border of London. And due to the increased traffic of the capital, at its widest, it has a whopping 12, 6 in each direction.
What?
Huge, right? America laughs. Multi-lane roads of these proportions are as common in the United States as oxygen. Some are considerably wider even than that. Take, for example, the Katy Freeway. For those of you not in the know, Katy Freeway is not the name of a popular girl in high school. It's the name of a freeway in Katy, Texas. At its widest, and this is completely and utterly a little bit insane, it has 26 whole lanes.
That is insane. And there's roads next to it as well. What?
Sure enough, when it comes to roads, and as it happens, litter, you don't mess with Texas, as evidenced by these. Here's a fun fact. Ever heard of the term spaghetti junction? Well, despite its name, it did not originate in Italy, nor, like a lot of Italian food, did it originate in the United States. It originated in Britain. In the mid-1960s, Spaghetti Junction was the nickname used by journalists to describe Gravelly Hill Interchange.
Look at that.
And this is perhaps Britain's most famous interchange, and at a reported 5 levels, one of its tallest. But in the
Wait, that's in Britain?
In the mid-1960s, Spaghetti Junction was the nickname used by journalists to describe...
Is this in the UK? What the fuck? I would have never thought this was in the UK. What? What the hell, man? This is so wild. I've never seen this before, and I never thought anything like this would be in the UK.
By Gravelly Hill Interchange. And this is perhaps Britain's most famous interchange, and at a reported 5 levels, one of its tallest. But in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, 5-level interchanges are just another part of the scenery. None more notably than the comically named High Five Interchange. Get it? It's like a high five. You won't be doing much of that on this interchange. The point is, it's the tallest one in the world.
What the hell?
And insanely large.
Not gonna lie, I think the UK one is actually a bit more easy on the eye. You know, there's trees and stuff.
Spaghetti servings aren't just unique to Texas. You'll find them in a multiplicity of cities, most famously Los Angeles.
Bro, look at that. That is so crazy, man. And it goes all directions as well.
Where I'm told the traffic is so congested, it's almost neck and neck with that of my channel. That's it for this episode.
That is wild. I guess it means it stops a bit of congestion, to be fair, but still crazy, man, how they even build that stuff. But hopefully you enjoyed this reaction. The cliche still stands. In America, 100 years is considered a long time. In Britain, 100 miles is considered a long distance. It is, to be fair. It is. We used to go to my grandparents, and that was a 20-mile drive. And for me, obviously when I was younger, I was thinking, God, this is a long journey, even though it's just like an hour, not even that. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this reaction. And if you want more stuff like this, let me know in the comments. And until next time, like, subscribe. Peace.